Om Jnanatimanasya Chinanjala Shnaka Shakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shigurave Namah Shichetayamanopistam Staptam Yena Bhutale Svamrupradamyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shiru Shiyuda Padakamanam Shiram Vaishnavam Shah Shirupam Jagajatam Saganaragnatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parjana Saitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Saganalita Shivishakam Vitam Shah He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jatpate Gopesha Kopka Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kansana Gauri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhana Sutadevi Pranamama Haripriya Vancha Kalpta Bisha Kripa Sindhuvisha Patnam Pavanabhyo Vaishnabhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namini Namaste Saraswata Devi Gauravani Pacharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskatyai Desatarani Srila Prabhupada Ki. So today we will start factually with the study of Upadeshamrita, Nectar of Instruction. We have explained last time this Nectar of Instruction means that there are 11 verses, and here is the overview again. So we will discuss text 1. So Krishna conscious person controls his body, mind and senses and is therefore called a Goswami. Then text 2 and 3 probably we will start to discuss Saturday and Sunday. What not and what not to do to come to this position of being self-controlled. And then when by following these instructions and by having a regular spiritual practice, we will be able to develop spiritual relationships with each other. But in order to properly deal in spiritual relationships, we must know our position and the position of others. That otherwise we will make offenses. Therefore text 6 says we should avoid those offenses. And then in text 7 we can chant the holy name with care and attention and care, and then that will remove the jaundice of ignorance is explained. Our spiritual ignorance. And then we can enter the spiritual realm and develop and revive our relationship with Krishna and develop spiritual emotions through Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti, that then to attain Bhava and Prema Bhakti. So it's good to get that these 11 verses in our mind, that's the progression. That if someone asks me what is Nectar of Instruction about, you should know this, what's in these 11 verses. And we will now discuss the details. Let's see if it works. I don't know. Is it this one? Yeah, that was the overview. Interesting. I have to stop it again. The sharing and start the other PowerPoint. PowerPoint explaining text 1. Okay, that's here. Good. Then we go back to the Zoom and share again. And now hopefully it appears. And then I have to start from the beginning. Nectar of instruction. But that's text 2. It's the wrong one. That it should be text 1. Just a moment. We are coming. Then I have to stop share again. Start PowerPoint. PowerPoint. Where is that? Here, PowerPoint. Stop text 2. That's done. And now I start again PowerPoint to start text 1. Text 1 is there. Okay. Let me see if it will appear. Share. Text 1. Yeah. Then slide show. So text 1. We will see. It will. This is the purport. That in the purport, Prabhupada speaks about atonement, the 6 urges. Then we will speak about mana vegam, and these are different processes. And that okay. And that I think this one, those was Comport and Han, because that doesn't seem the last one. But anyway, we will come to that. We'll now first read the first verse. It's here. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vatsho Vegam Manasakroda Vegam. Shiva Vegam Udaropasta Vegam. Etam Vegam Yo Visaita Dira. Sarvam Apimam Pritivim Nasisyat. The word for word translation. Vacha of speech. Vegam, urge, manasa of the mind, krodha of anger, vegam, urge, jiva of the tongue, vegam, urge, udarapasta of the belly and genitals, vegam, urge, etam, these, vegam, urges, yaha, whoever, visaita, can tolerate, dira, sober, sarvam, all, api, certainly, iman, this, Prithivin, world, saha, that personality, sisya, can make disciples. And that, so we will read the translation. A sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals, is qualified to make disciples all over the world. So, this verse gives us the prerequisites for spiritual life. What we should do before we can come to spiritual life. That we have the necessity to controlling the mind and the senses. We heard that in the preface already. So a person who has mastered these prerequisites, or this control of the senses, or is qualified to enter spiritual life, is fit to be guru. It is said that. So how to control the mind and senses? We will hear more about that. But tolerate the urge to speak, thus with the tongue, speaking with the mouth, the mind's demands, the action of the urges of anger and the urges of the tongue. Tongue, belly and genitals. The tongue, belly and genitals are in one line. It's going that vertical. When one can control these all three, one is qualified to make disciples all over the world. So how to do that we will hear in text 2 and 3. Things not to do and things to do. But Prabhupada gives many practical tips in the purport. The purport first, yeah. I think you have all read the purport. So what we will do, I will discuss the purport with you, and we may go to the text again to see some details, to try to understand some details of the purport here. So, in the beginning of the purport, that Srila Prabhupada speaks about a system of atonement, a gradual or fast process, and chanting does not counteract intentional sins. That's about the atonement. Further, I think, yeah. So atonement is described in the Bhagavatam, in the 6th canto, that at the end of the 5th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a description of all the hellish planets in this universe. That the lower planetary systems, lower planets up to Patal, Sutal, many others. These are hellish planets, and people are suffering very much there. These hells and this suffering are described at the end of the 5th canto. And Maharaj Pariksit is asking Sukadev Goswami, what can people do to prevent to go to these hells? They are doing sinful activities, but how can they prevent going to these hells? And Sukadev Goswami said they can prevent going there by doing atonement, counteract their sinful activities, that by penances, by austerities, and that this is mentioned in the beginning of the 6th canto of the Bhagavatam. That, yes. So people perform sins and then they atone. That and but Maharaj Pariksit says this system of atonement that doesn't work because, and he speaks the following verses 110 in the Bhagavatam: Kvashin nirvatate badrat kvashit sharati tat puna payashi tamato partam manye kunshrat chavat. Sometimes one who is very alert as not to commit sinful acts is victimized by sinful life again. So we see that many times people stop doing sinful activities, but then still, because of the urges of their senses, their mind, their genitals, they do it again. Therefore, it says that system of atonement, atoning, it's useless. It's like the bathing of an elephant. An elephant, kunchara chavat. The bathing of an elephant. Elephant takes a full bath in the Ganges and comes out of the water, and then with his trunk takes dust and put it on his body, and it's dirty again. So people do atonement and then they do it again, these sinful activities. There was once a Christian priest that was in the 70s, and he was in America, in Texas. He was a priest for a Catholic community, and I'm also from Catholic background. There they have the atonement process of confession. So in the church you have these wooden cabinets, and the believer would go at one side in the cabinet and speak at a raster, and in the middle they can't see it is a priest, and they confess their sins to the priest. And then the priest is hearing this, and then asks them, now, as penitence, as atonement, you pray 20 times the prayer to our Lord in heaven, or 50 times the prayer to Saint Mary, and you are forgiven. So this priest was doing that every Sunday, hearing their confession of sins. And that is anonymous, but of course he was priest of a small village, and I heard their voice. He knew who they were. He knew who they were. And they were, week after week, they were confessing the same sins. They did it again and again confessing. That this priest got one way or another the books of Srila Prabhupada. And after 15 years, he concluded there is no progress here. And he quit his job and he joined the temple, the ashram. I don't know what happened with him later, but so that is this Christian confession, Srila Prabhupada speaks about it. He's also the professional thief. He's a professional thief and is going with pilgrims on pilgrimage. And they stay, what they called in India, dharmashalas. They stay there overnight, everyone. But he was so used to steal at night, he started to move their luggage and mixed it. And when they got up in the morning, everyone was searching for his baggage, and it was all mixed. One was there, and then the professional thief said, "Please forgive me. I did this. I have this tendency to steal, but I only mixed it because I know I should not do it, but I could not stop it." That's what. And then you have the elephant's bath that we have discussed. So these are useless forms of atonement. Because that is what Maharaj Pariksit says to Sukadeva Goswami, this atonement that doesn't work. And then Sukadeva Goswami said, "Yes, I was only testing you." Because then he says, "Keshit kevalya bhaktya vasudeva prayana agamdum vanstikarsnya nyaram iva bhaskara." Only complete unalloyed devotional service to Krishna roots up the seed of all sinful action. The desire to do these sinful activities are uprooted by devotional service. That by atonement, that's not removed. That sinful desire is still there. But devotional service is so strong that it removes this sinful desire. And Sukadeva Goswami gives the example. It's like you have a field with bamboo sticks, all bamboos. And you cut a bamboo just above the root. All the bamboo forest is gone, but only the roots are there. Then it starts to rain again, and the bamboo grows again. And several months later, there is again a bamboo forest. So the root is still there, but devotional service removes this root. So that's the system of atonement Srila Prabhupada speaks from. But then he speaks about the gradual of the fast process. Because gradual of fast process, here I have that in the beginning, but that should come a little higher. Yeah, that's the gradual process. That's the fast process. Yeah. So the gradual process, Prabhupada writes in the purport that is austerity, celibacy, controlling the mind, controlling the senses, giving up one's possession in charity, being avowedly truthful, keeping clean, practicing yoga, asanas. It's very difficult. That Now, this system is also described in the Bhagavatam 6.1.13. Tapasa brahmacharyena shamena sha damena sha tyagena satsa sausabhyam yamena niyamena va. So, these points here are a translation of all the points from this verse that Prabhupada takes from the Bhagavatam 6.1.13. Says, to concentrate the mind, one must observe a life of celibacy and not fall down. One must undergo austerity or voluntarily giving up sense enjoyment. Is very difficult, controlling the senses. But one must then control the mind and senses, give charity, be truthful, clean, non-violent, follow the regulative principles, and chant the holy names of Krishna. So this is the gradual process. But Prabhupada says better to take the fast process. And the fast progress is one comes across a pure devotee. That vidapana partner paraprashna sevya upadek santitegram ghanina stat vadakshana. So one comes across a pure devotee, accept him as spiritual master, serve him, and inquire from spiritual life. Then follow the regulative principles of Krishna consciousness, means following the four regulative principles and at the same time engage in devotional service. Following four regulative principles means we are not doing sinful activities anymore. And engaging in devotional service, that will uproot the desire for sinful activities. One has to do that under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master. So Prabhupada says this is the fast process. So now the third point Prabhupada discusses is, yes, chanting does not counteract intentional sins. So, because this is, the seventh offense against holy name. To commit sinful activity, to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. No, if one does it intentionally, the chanting of the holy name will not remove the reactions of that. So that about atonement. Then we spoke about the gradual process, the fast process, and now we have these 6 urges. The first urge is Vajoveham, the urge to speak. Because we have these 6 urges that's Vajoveham, Manoveham, anger, urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals. There are 3 others. So in total 6. Vajoveham, Manoveham, anger, urges of the tongue, belly, genitals. 6. So material misidentification, the identification with the body, that creates 3 kinds of urges. That one wants urges of speech, mind, and body. So 2 urges of the mind, aviruddha priti, unrestricted attachment, and 3 urges of the body, tongue, belly, and genitals. So one who engages in Krishna's service can control these 6 urges, and one gets the title of Goswami. But it's controlled by Krishna's service. No. So that's the fast way. Because only by Krishna's service is the desire removed to do these sinful activities. So one cannot become a Goswami if one does not engage in Krishna's service. Then one can fully control it. The other process, the gradual process, that goes over many lifetimes usually, and the result is very unsure. So Vachovegam, controlling the urge to speak. So Srila Prabhupada speaks about impersonal Mayavadi philosophers, karmis and vikarmis. They are compared to croaking toads, simply inviting death. So the toad, Prabhupada says, is croaking and is inviting the serpent to come and eat him. So Mayavadi philosophers, they speak very offensive things, are very offensive towards Krishna. They speak false philosophies. That the karmis, they speak about sense gratification. Vikarmis, the karmis, they are pious too normally, and the vikarmis, impious, they do sinful activities. But it's all compared to croaking toads, simply inviting death. Before we come to this, we can go to the text here. So we spoke here about the first Maharaj Parikshit. I mentioned these verses. I told about this real atonement is coming from real knowledge. And for this there is a standard process. Then we have the slow process and then the fast process. So then first one has to control the speaking power. Every one of us has the power of speech. As soon as we get an opportunity, we begin to speak. If we do not speak about Krishna consciousness, we speak all sort of nonsense. So everything not related to Krishna has temporary value and will bind us to this world. That everything you see in this world is nothing than Krishna. But if we don't see Krishna in this world, then our consciousness is separated from Krishna. And our speaking will be offensive, not related to Krishna. So all he has to say is nonsense. The croaking of the toad, however, simply invites the snake, "Come here and eat me." Nevertheless, although it is inviting death, the toad goes on croaking. The talking of materialistic men and impersonalist Mayavadi philosophers may compare to the croaking of frogs. They are always speaking nonsense and thus inviting death to catch them. Controlling speech, however, does not mean self-imposed silence, external process of mana, as, as, uh, as philosophers think. Silence may appear helpful for some time, but ultimately it proves a failure. By contrast, the controlled speech advocated by Srila Rupa Goswami is the process of Krishna Katha. So by Krishna Katha we can refrain from useless, nonsensical talk. And for this we will go back to our slides. And yep, here. Because then we have a verse from the Bhagavatam. So this verse, it comes after Vachoveham. The fast poses topics here, it comes here between. This is from the Bhagavatam 1.5.10, 1.5.11. That 1.5.10 and 11. I recite the Sanskrit of 1.5.10. Nayatvacha shitapadam areyaso jagat pavitram praghenita karichit tatvaya samtirtam ushanti manasa nayatra hamsa niramantyusiksaya. Those words which do not describe the glories of the Lord, who alone can sanctify the atmosphere of the whole universe, are considered by saintly persons to be like unto a place of pilgrimage for crows. Since all perfect persons are inhabitants of the transcendental abode, they do not derive any pleasure there. So yes, saintly persons and a pilgrimage for cows, incompatible. So transcendentalists are not interested in mundane talk, which is all about temporary pleasures or temporary pains of a body which we are not. They are interested in connecting with the spiritual energy, the higher energy. We will hear that in the next verse. Next verse, Prabhupada will speak about the energies, material energies, spiritual energies. And then text 11. Tatvarvishargo chanotaha viplavo yasmim pratislukamabhatyapatyapi namanyanantasya yasokitaniyat shivanti hayanti shivanti sadava. On the other hand, that literature which is full of the prescriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, forms, pastime, etc., of the unlimited Supreme Lord is a different creation, full of transcendental words directed toward bringing about a revolution in the impious lives of this world misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literatures, even though imperfectly composed, are heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. This is Krishna Katha, full of description of the transcendental glories, name, fame, forms, and pastimes. Then the mind is absorbed in the transcendental objects beyond this world, and that brings about a revolution in the impious life of this world misdirected civilization. it purifies the heart of people, and that's like revolution, that all these sinful desires are uprooted. That Prabhupada mentioned in the purport of this verse, yes, I tried my best to present it in the English language, but it's imperfect. But it doesn't matter, it's still transcendental. Prabhupada, very humbly there. So yes, this is the Vacho Vegam. Vacho Vegam. And then he said, Mano Vegam, restless of fickleness of the mind. And then 2 divisions, Aviroda Priti and Viroda Yukta Kroda. That unrestricted attachment, that and you have different kinds which we will discuss, and Virukta Yukta Kroda, anger arising from frustration. That so these 2 kinds we will read the purport. That of course I've this here. This factly, this quote of Bhagavad Gita is that belongs in the beginning. Yeah. This is Bhagavad Gita 336 and 337. In 336, Krishna says to Arjuna says to Krishna, Krishna, I want to give up my attachment and aversion, but my mind is too disturbed. That this, he says, my mind is too attached. That is too attached to Bhishmadev, my grandfather. How can I kill my grandfather? I'm averse to it, Krishna. I know I have to do my duty as a Kshatriya and kill all these transgressors. That transgressors of the principles of religion, but it's too strong, these attachments. What is it that causes this attachment in my heart? That and then Krishna answers, Kama isha koda isha ratsaguna samutma masna manavatna pityam iravayanam. It's lust in contact with the material mode of passion, later transformed into wrath, and which is the all-devouring sinful enemy in this world. So that is what makes our mind uncontrollable. This mode of passion and ignorance. That and passion brings you down to ignorance. So that is what we have to remove from our heart, is lust. From lust comes anger, greed, madness, illusion, envy. That enemy number 1, Krishna says. So that was related to the first topic. Now they are in the right order. We are discussing now Vacho Vegam, Mano Vegam, and then anger and urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals. So let's first this Vacho Vegam, and discuss in the purport. Rajavegam. Yeah. So the restless or fickleness of the mind is controlled when one can fix his mind on the lotus feet of Krishna. That's how to control it. That Krishna Surya Sam Maya Ahaya Andakar Yam Krishna Ta Nai Maya Adikar. So Krishna is like the sun and Maya is just like darkness. If the sun is present, there is no question of darkness. Similarly, if Krishna is present in the mind, there is no possibility of the mind being agitated by Maya's influence. The yogic process of negating all material doubts will not help. To try to create a vacuum in the mind is artificial. The vacuum will not remain. However, if one always thinks of Krishna and how to serve Krishna, best one's mind will not really be controlled. So that's what Krishna says here. What Srila Prabhupada writes here is the way to control the mind is to always think of Krishna. And that if one does not think of Krishna, one will think of things on this material world. Krishna consciousness means one learns to see everything connected with Krishna in this world. And factually, at the end, only see Krishna. And that's the highest devotee. So good manovegam, unrestricted attachment, that has two divisions, aviroda prita and viroda yukta krodha. This aviroda priti means unrestricted attachment. So people who are attached to the Mayavadi philosophy that everything is one, or those who believe in karma kanda, that the goal of life is to live pious and then enjoy more and go to the heavenly planets. Or those who just think, I'm working nicely and life is for enjoyment, I will enjoy. That plans or material desires. Of course, this so-called happy life in the material world that happens only in the cinema, in reality it doesn't exist. So that's aviroda priti, being attached to false philosophies, being attached to certain beliefs, that's all the mind is attached to these things. That's aviroda priti. But then you have viroda yukta krodha. So it means the mind, when we want to enjoy and frustration comes, that by that frustration, sometimes one comes to the point of saying, yeah, I don't want it anymore. By the frustration, one realizes factually these attachments are useless. But what's the solution from this? That a little further here, I think there's a quote. This quote from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Krishna Surya Sam Maya Aya Andakar Yam Krishna Ta Nai Maya Adikar. So if you have Krishna in your mind, there's no possibility of being influenced by Maya. So one must fill one's minds with thoughts of Krishna. And then we have anger. How can we control anger? Papa said you cannot stop anger altogether. But if we simply become angry with those who blaspheme the Lord or the devotee of the Lord, we control our anger in Krishna consciousness. Lord Chaitanya became angry with the miscreants brothers Jagai and Madai, who blasphemed and struck Nityananda Prabhu. In his Shikshastaka, Lord Chaitanya wrote, Trinatapi Sunitsana Tarora Visaisnana. One should be more humble than the grass and more tolerant than a tree. One may then ask why the Lord exhibited his anger. The point is that one should be ready to tolerate all insults to oneself, but when Krishna or his pure devotee is blasphemed, a genuine devotee becomes angry and acts like fire against the offender. Krodha, anger, cannot be stopped, but it can be applied rightly. And then Prabhupada gives us example. First example is Hanuman. He set fire to Lanka. That all in the service of Lord Ramachandra. That Arjuna, he uses anger to fight. You cannot fight without anger. Krishna says you must fight. To fight without anger is not possible. Anger is controlled, however, when utilized in the service of the Lord. So anger is controlled by using in the service of the Lord. If it's not used in the service of the Lord, anger will control us. And Papa said your chest, your eyes will be agitated, is bad for your health and so on. But in devotional service, anger is controlled. In the 70s, Prabhupada was in Mayapur, and they had just built the first building, the Lotus building, and on the second or the third floor was Prabhupada quarters, was just finished. And at that time already, 1972, 73, more or less, we had already security guards. And the security guards, they had to do follow a certain path and be at certain times at certain places. And Prabhupada came back from a walk and came before his door, the door of his room. And he looked at his watch and said, this guard should be now here, and he's not here. Get this guard for me. And Prabhupada went into his room, and then Navayogendra was there. Now is Navayogendra Swami. And then when this guard came in, Prabhupada, angry, started to shout to him in Bengali. And Navayogendra said, Prabhupada was so angry that I started to shake out of fear. So angry Prabhupada was. And then the guard went out, and Prabhupada became very peaceful, like nothing happened. It's all, he used it in Krishna's service, but he was not controlled by the anger. So that's different. Controlled anger by using it in Krishna's service. So we have the example of Arjuna, Hanuman, Lord Chaitanya with Jai and Madai. Okay, that was anger. anger, and now that was manovegam and anger. We have discussed vajravegam, manovegam, and anger. But now the urges of the tongue, belly, and the genitals. That's out. Yeah. So the body demands start with the tongue. That Prabhupada said, the urge of the genitals, the sex impulse, of the first the tongue. Yeah. As for the urge of the tongue, we all experience that the tongue wants to eat palatable dishes. Generally, we should not allow the tongue to eat according to its choice, but should control the tongue by supplying prasadam. The devotee's attitude is that he will eat only when Krishna gives him prasad. That is the way to control the urges of the tongue. One should take prasad at scheduled times and should not eat in restaurants or sweetmeat shops simply to satisfy the whims of the tongue or belly. If we stick to the principle of taking only prasad, the urges of the belly and tongue can be controlled. We will speak at the end a little more about that. This eating, controlling the tongue, so we should eat in such a way to keep body and soul together, to keep the body healthy. That is important. We should not eat too much. Prabhupada said, better eat less. Nobody died from not eating enough, Prabhupada said. They die all from eating too much. So the devotee's attitude is that he will eat only when Krishna gives him prasadam. So no eating of things that are not offered. Do not eat things cooked by life members or congregational members who don't chant 16 rounds and follow the four relative principles. They may be pious, but Krishna wants devotion, and there is no question of developing devotion when you don't follow these basic instructions of Krishna. They may even offer it to Krishna. Krishna will not accept it. Because why? How do we know that? Krishna wants devotion. He's not interested in the offering of food, but the devotion that we put into it. That makes him inclined to accept the offering. If we eat only prasad, then these urges of the tongue will be controlled. Because the body is made of food. Every cell lives a maximum of 6 years in your body. Every 6 years your body is completely changed. All your cells are replaced. So the body is made of food. If you take 6 years only Krishna prasad, then your body is prasad, transformed prasad, and that will help to control the mind. If you accept food or you eat too much, that with food cooked by non-devotees, your mind will become very wicked, difficult to control. The subtle aspect is very important here. That the subtle influence in the food. That so the devotee's attitude is that he will eat only when Krishna gives him prasad. That one should take prasad at scheduled times and should not eat in restaurants or sweet mobs simply to satisfy the whims of the tongue or the belly. If we stick to this principle of taking only prasad, the urges of the belly, tongue and tongue can be controlled. As Prabhupada said, you take at scheduled times only Krishna prasad. That is what he is saying. That because the tongue is the most important. If we don't control the tongue, then the belly, the stomach will not be controlled. Urge of the stomach. And that if you eat too much, it will press on the genitals. And sexual desire will come. That also seeing what we eat. And Prabhupada was in Vrindavan. And one devotee, I think a devotee from Australia, was cooking for Prabhupada. And he made a cheese sabji. And Prabhupada liked the cheese sabji very. He liked the cheese sabji. So the next day he was thinking, I cooked the same thing. But the next day he served, and Prabhupada, while he was eating, he removed the cheese from the sabji. That the servant asked Prabhupada, why are you removing this cheese and not yesterday? That he said, once a week is okay, but if you eat it every day, this cheese, then sex desire will come. Too much protein. So these are things to be learned. How to control. In the beginning, Prabhupada said, you fill up till here. No problem. But as you make advancement, you must start to control your senses. Rupa Goswami said, if you eat too much prasadam, always prasadam, you will not be able to control your senses. So a devotee eats frugally, very little, Prabhupada says. Just what's needed to get the machine healthy, to keep it healthy running. So since the tongue, belly and genitals are physically situated in a straight line, that the urges of the belly and genitals can automatically be controlled if the demands of the tongue are restricted to the eating of prasad at scheduled times. Just what you need at scheduled times. Prabhupada gives also, And then he speaks about use of the genitals. They should be used to beget a Krishna conscious child, otherwise they should not be used. So Krishna conscious movement encourages marriage not for the satisfaction of the genitals, but for begetting Krishna conscious children. The children are sent to Gurukul so that they can become Krishna conscious devotees. So I think these verses, we quoted them already. Yeah. Aviroda Priti, Viroda Yukta, Krodha, we explained that demands of the body. Yeah. Then we have this Sarya Avijjajal verse that we know that there are 6 kinds of rasas, tastes, and if one is agitated by one of them, he becomes controlled by the urges of the tongue. Some persons are attracted to the eating of meat, fish, crabs, eggs, and other things produced by semen and blood, and eaten in the form of dead bodies. Others are attracted by eating vegetable creepers, spinach or milk products, but for all the satisfaction of the tongue's demand. Such eating of sense gratification, including the use of extra quantities of spices like chili and tamarind, is to be given up by a Krishna-conscious person. The use of pan, hataka, betel nuts, various spices used in pan making, tobacco, LSD, marijuana, opium, liquor, coffee, and tea is indulged in to fulfill illicit demands. I think that last one is, if one can practice accepting only remnants of food offered to Krishna, it is possible to get free from Maya's victimization. Vegetables, grains, fruits, milk products, and water are proper foods to offer to the Lord, as Lord Krishna himself prescribes. However, if one accepts prasad only because of its palatable taste and thus eats too much, so that's tricky, eh? Only because of its palatable taste and eats too much because one is attracted. He also falls prey to trying to satisfy the demands of the tongue. So it means we have to eat with our intelligence. That not only with our mind. It's not easy. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught us to avoid very palatable dishes and while eating prasadam. Like mostly devotees in the beginning, every day they were eating khichdi, very simple, and on Sunday they had a feast with sweets once a week. So that's the normal standard. But in many temples, they may deviate from that. If Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught us to avoid very palatable dishes even while eating prasadam, if we offer palatable dishes to the deity with the intention of eating such nice food, we are involved in trying to satisfy the demands of the tongue. That if we accept an invitation of a rich man with the idea of receiving palatable food, we are also trying to satisfy the demands of the tongue. And this is a quote of Chaitanya Charitamrita. That person who runs here and there, seeking to satisfy his palate, who is always attached to the desires of his stomach and genitals, is unable to attain Krishna. So Lord Chaitanya said, Bhala na kaibe ara bala na paribe. Do not dress luxuriously and do not eat delicious food. So those who suffer from the diseases of stomach must be able to control the urges of the belly, at least according to this analysis. Yes. When we desire to eat more than necessary, we automatically create many inconveniences in life. It's a cause of a lot of our trouble in our life. Prabhupada says. However, if we observe fasting days like Ekadashi and Janmashtami, we can restrain the demands of the body. So it's good to fast on these days once every 2 weeks. So that this Prabhupada speaks about Krishna conscious children here, that and the use of the genitals, that so that's instructions. And then this is from Charananda Pandit, that Prema Vivarta is written by Charananda Pandit. And he writes, "My dear brother, you are in the renounced order of life and should not listen to talk about ordinary worldly things, nor should you talk about worldly things when you meet with others. Do not think of women even in dreams. You have accepted the renounced order of life with a vow that forbids you to associate with women. If you wish to associate with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you must always remember the incident of Chota Haridas, who was rejected by the Lord. Do not eat the luxurious dishes or dress in fine garments, but always remain humble and serve their Lordship, Shishya Radha Krishna, in your heart." So that's, then we have the conclusion that okay, can someone read this conclusion? Venuya, can you read the conclusion?
Krishnamurti, yes, of course. The conclusion is that one who can control these 6 items, speech,
We
mind,
don't hear
anger.
you.
So.
There is something that.
Oh, I don't know. Can you hear me now?
It's okay.
Yeah. The conclusion is that one who can control these 6 items.
We don't hear you. It doesn't come true. But okay. I will read it. The conclusion is that one who can control the 6 items, speech, mind, and anger, tongue, belly, and genitals, is to be called a Swami or Goswami. Swami means master, and Goswami means master of the go of the senses. When one accepts the renounced order of life, he automatically assumes the title of Swami. This does not mean that he is the master of his family, community, of society. He must be a master of his senses. Unless one is the master of his senses, he should not be called a Goswami, but godas, servants of the senses. So Prabhupada says, either we are Goswami or godas. We are the servant of Krishna or we are the servant of our senses. That's the point. Following in the footsteps of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, all Swamis and Goswamis should fully engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So that's the way how to control the senses, always engage them in the service of the Lord. So as opposed to this, the godas engage in the service of the senses, in the service of as opposed to this, the godas engage in the service of the senses or in the service of the material world. They have no other engagement. Prahlad Maharaj has further described the godas as anandago, which refers to one whose senses are not controlled. An anandago cannot become a servant of Krishna. And then the famous verse spoken by Prahlad Maharaj to his father, that Materna Krishna parato svatavamito bivatyeti vratanam Ananda Gobir Vishatam Tamisham Punas Punasarvita Sarvananam. For those who have decided to continue their existence in the material world for the gratification of their senses, there is no chance of becoming Krishna conscious, nor by personal endeavor, by instruction from others, or by joint conferences. They are dragged by unbridled senses in the darkest region of ignorance, and thus they are madly engaged in what is called chewing the truth. So that is more or less the first verse, the essence of the first verse, that So what can we discuss? I would say especially about prasadam. That is it important that we are not eating food cooked by vikarmas, by karmas or vikarmas, karmis? What do you think? For example, you are invited by a pious Indian family. They are not devotees. They are not chanting. And the four relative principles, they follow more or less. Are you going to eat what they cook? Yeah, but New Year say it's very important not to eat it. Any other comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
That
I know it's important not to eat it, but sometimes can you hear, Prabhu?
A life member gives donations to ISKCON, invite everyone, the devotees, and they are cooking. Are we going to eat it? I remember when I was traveling with Prahlad Nanda Maharaj, that some devotee had cooked for Maharaj and had offered it and brought it. And then when he was gone, he asked the devotees, does he chant 16 rounds? And does he follow the four relative principles? He was not initiated. And they said, no, he's not chanting 16 rounds. Maharaj said, yes, that I will not eat it, but don't tell him. So because it is, if they are not devotees, means no devotion. They are cooking, but what are they thinking about? All their problems, all their issues. It's all going into the food. And that contamination they offer to Krishna. Is Krishna going to accept it? No, because there is no devotion. And it will contaminate your mind. It's a very important principle. And that can we eat food cooked by machines? Cooked by machines. Do you think? A moment. I think there is I'm going to see here. Okay. Now I will hear you. It's on my side. You can speak. That can we eat what is cooked by machines? Yeah. Venuya, you can try to speak if you put on.
Hare Krishna?
Yeah.
Do you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay.
It was at my side.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I would say, the thing with pasta, I'm also not able to make pasta myself. No, I don't eat pasta very often, but in general, we have the consciousness of many different things in the industrial food, which we cannot overview, and in emergencies, if we don't really have no time to manage something else, or on maybe on traveling also. But I would try to avoid as far as possible.
Yeah, it's cooked by machines, but of course there's the operator of the machine. That's also that, and there's no devotion in, so Krishna will not accept it. We cannot buy it and then offer it. Krishna will not accept it. But you can buy it and prepare it with something else and then offer it. That you can do. That, but it's not ideal. It's not ideal. Better not to do. Like you say, pasta. That, yeah. And should we eat meals prepared on aeroplanes? Someone else can. That think it's a good idea. Yeah. Yeah, Saraswati. Yeah, I see all your comments, but you can speak, please. Yeah. But,
no, it's not a good idea, Maharaj, because we don't know which kind of karmis would have cooked that. So it's not prepared by bhaktas who chant regularly and follow the four regulative principles. So that's the reason it's not ideal to eat in aeroplanes.
No, that's right. So if you travel on an airplane, you take a lot of nice prasad with you, so that you don't become attracted to their things. That's the fraction. Yeah. Is it okay to overeat on festival days? Do you think? Once a week? No. And that nobody thinks it's okay.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Also for me is the difficulty, also maybe it could be okay once a week, but then my experience is the next day the mind also wants so much.
Yeah.
So if you are good in to be the next day regulated, maybe it's okay. But
that's the material energy. The material energy is not going to excuse you once a week. No, you will be a victim. Better not to do yeah. Should we sometimes eat onions or garlic? I was on a train in India, and some Indians asked me, why are you not eating garlic? What's wrong with it? And another devotee was there, and he explained that he was a disciple of Vishnu Goswami, the old Gujarati Swami. He's from Dvarka, from Rajkot. And he said sometimes there were marriages in the village or the town, and at a marriage many times there were also Punjabis, and the Punjabis they took always the preparations with a lot of chili, with garlic, onions, and these things. And he said they were eating, and then a few hours later they were fighting with each other. So it brings the passion and the ignorance in your consciousness. That better not to do. Yeah. But Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Maharaj said yes. Even if you go to Alaska of a country of an area where there's only meat, you eat meat, but you spread Krishna consciousness. But this situation is very rare. Yes, Sveta?
Maharaj, I know that onion garlic is not good and I don't also consume. But I've seen many temples in the south of India, they offer onion and garlic prasadam to the deities. And they claim also to be Vaishnavas. I don't know what kind of, I mean, of course, they are not Gaudiya Vaishnavas, but from Adi Sankaracharya disciples, I see them offering onion garlic to the deities and they say it is okay. Just wanted to understand how is it okay for some Vaishnavas and not for other Vaishnavas? How are we different on this philosophy?
Yeah, for this, we have to hear the explanation why they are doing it. I don't know that, but it's clear these are vegetables in the mode of ignorance. It's cultivated under the ground. It doesn't get sunlight. And therefore it is considered it are vegetables in the mode of ignorance. And but in the other sampradayas, I don't know. Certainly, it's not the greatest offense, but it's a minor offense. But better to avoid that. But I don't want to speak about these other traditions. But in our tradition, we are not doing it, and it's clear it's in the mode of ignorance. And it will yeah. Anyway. Good.
Maharaj, just for my own clarity, I asked this question. Also, there are other root vegetables which grow under the ground. For example, sweet potato, arbi, which is also Radharani's favorite vegetable, right? So those can be offered to the Lord, but while other root vegetables cannot. For example, onion and garlic. So that's how I just wanted more clarity. The other vegetables, they also don't get sunlight, right? But they are not in the mode of ignorance. For example, arbi, I don't know if you know arbi. Arbi, the one Radharani's favorite vegetable, and sweet potato. These are also growing under the ground, right?
Yeah. It grows on the ground. Also potatoes.
Yeah. Right.
But still, they have their plants above the ground, which gets light. I don't know, but the taste is different. Garlic, onion, it's a taste in the mode of ignorance, and that you don't have in potatoes. But it is also the sages has made that classification because of experience. You eat potatoes, they will not have the same effect as eating onions. So therefore they have made this classification like that. And I'm not a specialist in all vegetables in the mode of ignorance.
No, just curious, so I asked this, Maharaj.
Those sweet potatoes, it has a sweetness which comes from sunlight, from the and onions are really white, have nothing green, but a sweet potato is red. I can show you just a moment the sweet potato. So that's the sweet potato. See?
Yeah.
It's a big one. And that here is the yeah. It is different. Anyway, Vanuya, any comments?
Hare Krishna, questions, because balanced eating is my main challenge. I was never attracted to chili, but meanwhile I have so little digesting fire and since over 1.5 year diarrhea. Then when I take some chili, then digestion is better and also diarrhea little less, and I don't feel also passionate after this. Also is it in this case okay? Also for me it's more a medicine than I don't want it for the taste. Also for me it's more that I have some more also heat in the body.
Medicine is different. That's different.
This is different.
Yeah, that's all right.
And, and do you have a chance, because in Nectar of Instruction is said that people with health issues in the stomach, and I have a serious health issue in the stomach, is there any hope that I'm able to control the eating at all? Because I always eat not balanced enough.
Yeah. Yeah, Prabhupada also sometimes took Haritaka, which is a kind of drugs but for his health. Normally we that's also on the forbidden list. And but you have to take care of your health. That's point number one. That I'm not a health specialist, but I spent a lot of studying health and healthy food and so on. It's very important. I have another question. Yeah, first Erika.
Thank you, Maharaj. I would like to ask two questions, but first of all, if I can add something relevant to the previous question. As I know, the chili is quite complicated for our healthy and better to avoid it. And instead, is very good idea if we use pepper, which create more fire in our stomach. And the Ayurveda mentioned the trikatu, which is a kind of trikatu, is a kind of mix of different peppers, black pepper, white pepper, green pepper, and that can be much more safe and better for digesting. So I think better to change, because the chili can cause some kind of serious problems after a while in the stomach, because it's too much strong. Just your thoughts regarding to this from my side.
Yeah, that's okay, because chili is and pepper is not on a forbidden list. It's just in the mode of passion. That's all. It brings one to the mode of passion, But for health, usually we can take a little chili before to get the heat up of digestion. That helps. That helps. No, that's okay. I had another question about eating cheese. That sometimes they say this is vegetarian cheese. Can we eat that? First, I would say that you have first class, second class. First class is you make your own cheese for Krishna. Make your own cheese. Make then you know it doesn't contain animal products. That well, I mean that. And sometimes they are selling vegan cheese, and sometimes it looks cheese, but it's not cheese. It's made of beans or something. That yes, Saraswati.
How do you feel about mushrooms? Because I've heard that in some circumstances, devotees were allowed to offer to the Panchatattva and eat them.
Yeah, the same thing. Mushrooms are in the mode of ignorance. Better to avoid. But if there is some reason, then it's not an offense to offer it. But better to offer it not to the deities, you offer it to Prabhupada. That is merciful, that more merciful. We had that also in Radhadesh. There was a discussion because in the bakery they were using some yeast in the bread. And it's because it's going to the tourist and so on. But then it's the bread is offered on the altar, but only on the plate of Prabhupada. Not to the deities. That if there's really a reason for that. Yes. Anyway, we spoke a lot about prasadam and not prasadam, but it's important, this aspect of controlling the senses. That it is mentioned in Ayurveda also. In the morning, the general rule at Ayurveda is what you can eat in one time what you can carry in your two hands, what you can carry in your two hands. That is what your stomach can digest in one time. And from what you can carry in your two hands, in the morning for breakfast you eat 50 till 60%. At noontime, 80 till 90%. And in the evening, 10 to 20%. That's not much. Yes. Good. Very good. I think our time is over. We will meet again on Saturday evening, right? And then we will discuss text 2 and maybe a part of text 3. So read text 2 and 3 before. And I'm looking forward to see you on Saturday evening. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Jai Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Bol.